First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
On the line right now is Bob Scholefield from MVHS. Bob, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Good. By the way, does MVHS have a mask mandate where if you're going into the hospital, you have to wear a mask?
Yes. As a matter of fact, all people in the hospital, visitors, always alike, are expected to wear masks at all time while they're in the facility, unless you happen to be in your office by yourself. Otherwise, a mask mandate is in place.
All right. And we're seeing a lot of this, unfortunately, with schools coming back. You're seeing a lot of angry people over the masks. I wonder, are masks causing danger to children?
Well, I'm not a physician, but as we see on the news and the articles that we read, this variant is a concern for all of us. And children under the age of 12 are not vaccinated.
Yeah.
So the fear is a child gets sick, whether it's mild symptoms or worse. Their children are at risk, but at the same time, they're at risk of spreading it to other vulnerable people in the population that may not have been vaccinated. Which again, it really pushes the fact that if you're over the age of 12, you have not been vaccinated, you should get the vaccination as soon as possible.
I want to ask you first on MVHS. There was a story in the Observer-Dispatch yesterday on the hospital project saying it is behind schedule and over budget. What can you tell us? Well,
I was kind of disappointed at the way they framed that in the article. So we invited paper down to the site. So we felt it was important for their readership to get an update on the project.
Yeah.
We had a nice young man taking pictures. We're really concentrating on what progress we made. The date of opening hasn't changed since we released that earlier this year. It's still a July of 2023 completion date. But we set completion dates for a project like this before the first hole is dug in the ground, and there is so many different factors that play into consideration in order to really nail down that final date. And keep it in mind, this past year has not been a typical year in our community or in this country whatsoever. So,
yep.
When you lay over the top of it that we had the pandemic in place, it really had a significant impact not only on our timeline but also budget. So the question is simply, as we were walking through the site, how are you guys doing on budget? I said, well, we are having some budget challenges because of COVID, but we certainly have the financing and the dollars to finish the project. It was as simple of a question and answer as that, and unfortunately, it ended up being the first line in the article.
Yeah.
But the pandemic did have a financial impact on the project. The amount of laborers that were available during the peak of the pandemic was a problem. The ability to have to social distance on a construction site, no different there than it is everywhere else. Mm-hmm. So we had fewer people working. Anyone who's tried to build anything at their house knows how much the cost of building materials have skyrocketed. Well, that's impacting us as well. But the good news is we've got it under control. A lot of items we were able to buy ahead of time before the prices went up even higher. And again, the MVHS has the necessary funds to finish the project. So if anyone was led to believe by reading that the project's in jeopardy, it couldn't be further from the truth.
How did you feel when you read that above the fold headline?
Well, I guess how I feel really doesn't matter. Yeah. But I was disappointed. I really had hoped that the article was going to focus on the achievements of the project, and again, make sure that the public knows how we're progressing. It gives a sense of confidence. We've spent so much time on this project with the negatives earlier on. Let's get past that stuff and start talking about how the benefits that this facility will bring to this community, the benefits from a healthcare perspective, benefits from a business and downtown revitalization. But of course, we have to spend more time talking about what maybe didn't go right.
Is it behind schedule, or was that 2023 the original or an adjusted schedule? What?
So we had a a completion date of December of 2022. Last fall, in early winter, as we started readjusting as a result of delivery delays and some of the utility underground installation delays, we pushed the date till July of 23, and we announced that right after the first year this year. So it is later than we originally had anticipated, but it has not changed. Again, we've been indicating July 2023 since the beginning of 2021.
So the story basically is only 6 months old. It's kind of a...
Well, yeah.
I mean, who's counting?
It would have been more pertinent in January
okay.
than it was in August.
That's fair enough. And the other part of this is what I said is I would expect that I don't know how you could not be over budget with the cost of labor, with things slowing down and extending,
and medical delays,
and
because
the cost
of COVID,
and the cost of steel, the cost of everything else. I don't know how you'd be able to pull off. Same thing with the Nexus project.
Yes.
It's going to be over budget based on where we are right now.
If can I just say one thing? If the headline was the story, they're exactly on time, and they haven't spent an extra dime over budget, everyone would go,
yeah.
Wait, what's going on? This is a scam. How could they be in this position after the pandemic? Right.
And we probably wouldn't click on that story, Bob.
I was going to say that, too. That headline that made me think, we unfortunately live in a world where you have to make headlines papers like that in order to get somebody to read your story.
Yeah. Well, and also she took a few pictures of me. I'm sure if the story started out with a pic of me, everyone would have gone right past it and gone to the next news.
All right. I want to ask, has anything happened over the last few weeks on the parking garage since the situation with the Kennedy garage was announced by the city of Utica, and where do we stand on that?
Parking is an integral part of the healthcare campus downtown. The parking garage is moving forward. We're working with the county executive and his staff. That's a project in progress. It's going well. Certainly very appreciative of the work that's going on there. We continue to work with the city in relation to parking needs in the other parking garages. As far as the Kennedy garage is concerned, if it's indeed being sold, we don't necessarily know who it is we're supposed to be talking with
still
in order to make a decision about going forward. So we have an understanding who the purchaser is, but there's been no communication since that press release on next steps. So we're still waiting to hear that.
And based on attorneys who we've spoken with, the airspace issue is a real problem for any potential buyer. They're going to have to, I would assume, negotiate with MVHS. There is an airspace airline issue over the Kennedy garage and the property that we own. I think the planning for that is such preliminary states that it's really hard to say what the plan is and what needs to be accomplished. But indeed, if there is a desire to build within that air right space, we'll certainly have to work with whomever that is. And the other
issue,
at this point,
go ahead.
The other issue was the medical building. I wanted to squeeze in as well.
Yeah, so all along with this project, we had a medical office building being developed by a third-party developer on the south side of State Street, near south side of Columbia, near State Street.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been part of our documents with the city in the past and, and publicly and whatnot. As of late, it appears as though there's a third-party developer other than those that we've been working with that are trying to consider the building of a medical office building at the same location. So that's creating a significant amount of uncertainty for us. We're working with groups of physicians who indeed have a very significant interest in a medical office building, because it's not uncommon for a campus like this to have a physician office, medical office nearby. So for the convenience of physicians, there seems to be quite a few who are interested. Our hope is that the groups would get together and come up with a resolution to it. But unfortunately, something like that can't be figured out by third parties away from those who are going to occupy the building. And quite honestly, I know that some of the initial physicians are getting a little frustrated, and our concern is they may decide to go elsewhere. And we really don't want that to be the case. I think it's in the best interest for the project, for healthcare, for MVHS, for those physicians that are hospital-based to be near the campus.
And is it believed that the city of Utica is playing a role in this other developer?
So I think that the city of Utica has a significant interest in making sure that it maximizes as many office spaces and development in downtown Utica as possible.
Sure.
And that's a good thing. I mean, more development, more tax base, more access to things in downtown Utica. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those areas that needs to be coordinated. This is more than just a building project per se. It's all part of the overall campus and healthcare planning process. So we really do believe that the physicians and MVHS should be at that table to make sure that what's decided in the end results in what's best in patient care going forward, not just in relation to property values and whatnot.
All right. Okay. Interesting. I don't think if it went completely smoothly without issues, we'd all be thinking there's something wrong. I guess. So.
And my guess is I wouldn't be talking to you on the radio either.
My
right?
guess is that's exactly right. So, all right, Bob. Thank you so much for the time. Scholefield and MVHS. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.